A journalist and her brother arrived in the remote town under the guise of investigating a series of mysterious disappearances, but the air felt thick with unease the moment they stepped off the bus. The streets were eerily quiet, and the townspeople avoided eye contact, their whispered warnings hinting at dangers they refused to name. Drawn by a strange symbol carved into the trees on the edge of town, the siblings couldn't resist exploring the forest despite the growing sense of dread. Shadows seemed to move unnaturally between the trunks, and the wind carried faint chants that sent chills down their spines. As night fell, a clearing revealed a figure cloaked in black performing a ritual, flames casting twisted shadows across the surrounding trees. The siblings watched, frozen in terror, realizing this was no ordinary town and no ordinary threat. They sensed a dark force awakening, one that seemed to pulse with the rhythm of the ritual itself. Every instinct screamed to run, yet curiosity chained them in place. Their investigation had already crossed into the unknown, and one wrong step could cost them everything. The town hid secrets older than memory, and the ritual was only the beginning of a nightmare that refused to stay buried. Some families carried secrets buried so deep they seemed impossible to uncover, yet the siblings began to see patterns linking the town's residents to the mysterious cult. Journals and old photographs hinted at generations involved in unspeakable acts, their lineage intertwined with the dark rituals that had haunted the area for decades. Strange accidents occurred daily, as though the town itself were trying to warn them, or punish them for meddling in matters beyond understanding. Shadows lengthened unnaturally at twilight, and whispers seemed to follow them wherever they went. The siblings found a journal detailing the ritual's purpose, describing a force that demanded blood and obedience, a force that fed on fear and despair. The more they read, the more the town seemed alive with malice, the residents' eyes reflecting a strange emptiness that sent shivers down their spines. The sense of being watched intensified with every step, and even the forest seemed to breathe around them. Each revelation brought new questions, and the boundaries between past and present, reality and nightmare, blurred. They realized that understanding the cult might be the only way to survive, but survival would require confronting horrors older and darker than anything they had ever imagined. A scream pierced the night as a local teenager vanished without a trace, leaving the town in a panic that masked the fear creeping through its shadows. The siblings followed the trail into the woods and stumbled upon the cult performing a horrific ritual beneath a blood-red moon, chanting in an ancient tongue that seemed to make the air itself tremble. The force they invoked began to stir, moving through the forest like a living shadow, distorting shapes and sounds around them. The ritual demanded more than offerings. It demanded obedience and terror, and those who opposed it risked becoming part of its power. The siblings hid, their hearts pounding as the flames flickered and twisted, revealing glimpses of creatures not meant for human eyes. Every second felt stretched, the tension nearly unbearable, until the cult disappeared as suddenly as they had arrived, leaving only echoes and a lingering dread. The siblings knew that this was no isolated incident. The ritual had awakened something dangerous and unpredictable. The forest, once a place of serenity, had become a landscape of horror. The realization hit them hard. The cult was preparing something far larger, far more dangerous than they could have imagined, and the consequences would reach beyond the town, spreading like a dark stain across the world. Cryptic symbols appeared overnight across the town, carved into doors, walls, and even the ground, glowing faintly under moonlight. The townspeople began to act strangely, their eyes hollow, voices low and monotone, repeating words that seemed lifted from the ritual's chants. The siblings felt the weight of an invisible force pressing against them, twisting their perception of reality. Each discovery led to more questions. The symbols appeared to mark locations for future rituals, a roadmap of terror laid bare for anyone who dared to see. Shadows lengthened and moved independently, hinting that the dark force summoned was no longer confined to the cult or the forest. Even animals reacted violently, fleeing in unnatural panic or attacking without warning. As they pieced together the meaning of the symbols, the siblings realized the cult intended to harness a terrifying power capable of controlling the entire town, possibly beyond. Trust became impossible. Friends could be enemies, and the line between human and possessed blurred. They faced the chilling truth that the town itself was slowly succumbing to the ritual's influence. Every step forward carried risk. Every shadow concealed danger. The siblings' resolve hardened. They had to decipher the symbols and uncover the cult's ultimate goal before it was too late. For the darkness had only begun its slow, merciless spread. The siblings' investigation took a dangerous turn as they realized someone close to them was secretly part of the cult, feeding information and manipulating events. Hunted by townspeople whose eyes betrayed their possession, they barely escaped ambushes in narrow alleyways and forest trails. The ancient artifact they discovered, a carved talisman imbued with protective power, became their only hope, but retrieving it required venturing deep into the heart of the cult's territory. Each encounter with the possessed left them shaken, forcing them to question everything they believed about loyalty, family, and survival. The cult's reach seemed limitless, and even the forest conspired against them, twisting paths and concealing traps. Nightfall brought new horrors, whispers from the trees, shadows that slithered across the ground, and glimpses of figures that defied reality. They realized that the ritual's influence extended beyond human participants, awakening forces that could strike without warning. The artifact's power offered a fragile shield, a temporary reprieve against the relentless darkness. As they prepared for the inevitable confrontation, the siblings understood that the line between hunter and hunted had blurred, and that only courage, cunning, and trust in each other could keep them alive in a town where fear had become a weapon, and survival demanded facing the unimaginable. The night arrived heavier than ever, the darkness thickened by a sense of omnipresent evil. As the siblings navigated the forest, the ritual's influence spread like a living fog, reaching into homes, streets, and hidden corners. Creatures emerged from the shadows, distorted and monstrous, hunting indiscriminately. Every sound, a branch snapping, a whisper, a footstep, could signal death. They moved stealthily, relying on the artifact for protection, but each step brought them closer to the ritual's epicenter. The town, once familiar, had become an alien landscape of terror, filled with shifting shadows and eyes that seemed to follow them relentlessly. Time felt suspended as they endured endless terror, hearts pounding, minds straining to distinguish illusion from reality. The creatures seemed drawn to their fear, their instincts attuned to panic and hesitation. Survival required courage, quick thinking, and a willingness to face horrors beyond comprehension. By the first light of dawn, they had uncovered crucial information about the ritual's final phase, but the night had changed them. Exhausted, scarred, and trembling, they understood the battle was far from over. The ritual had awakened forces that could not be contained, and their journey through darkness was only beginning. The final confrontation unfolded beneath a blood-red moon as the cult gathered in the forest clearing, chanting with voices that seemed to pierce the night itself. The siblings confronted them, wielding the artifact with determination and fear intertwined. Flames licked the trees, shadows danced violently, and the air felt charged with a malevolent energy that bent reality. The kidnapped child, the intended offering, struggled against unseen forces, while the siblings fought to protect them and disrupt the ritual. Each moment was a test of courage, as the forest itself seemed to resist their efforts, summoning creatures and twisting the terrain. The cult revealed its most horrifying secret. The ritual had always been about more than the town. It was a gateway to forces that could spill into the wider world. As the ritual reached its peak, the siblings channeled the artifact's power, disrupting the ceremony with flashes of blinding light and unnatural sounds. The cult screamed in despair as their power faltered, but the darkness was not fully vanquished. They fled the clearing, the forest alive with restless shadows, knowing that though they had survived, the true battle against the awakened evil was far from over. The aftermath was silent, the forest eerily calm as the siblings emerged from the clearing, carrying the child and the weight of what they had witnessed. Though the ritual had been disrupted, the darkness had escaped, slipping through cracks in reality and seeping into the world beyond the town. As they drove away, the town disappeared behind mist and shadow, leaving only memories of fear, bravery, and unspeakable horrors. They realized that the forces they had encountered were ancient, patient, and relentless, capable of resurfacing anywhere, anytime. Every sound in the night, every unexplained shadow, carried the threat of the darkness's return. The siblings' lives had been irrevocably changed, their bond strengthened by the ordeal, yet haunted by visions that refused to fade. The artifact, though powerful, offered no guarantees. It was a temporary shield, a reminder of the thin line between survival and annihilation. As city lights appeared on the horizon, a movement in the shadows suggested the ritual's influence had already reached beyond the town, hinting at a worldwide threat. Their journey had ended, but the nightmare had only begun, leaving a lingering question. Could the darkness ever truly be stopped, or was it only waiting for the next opportunity to rise?